In this video, I'm going to tackle exactly what effective post-appointment nurture looks like, how you can actually get more deals under contract, what it means to actually meet with somebody in person. And for the purpose of this training, we're going to assume that you've already met with the actual lead in person, that you followed the scripts, you followed our winning scripts, and you got the person to an in-person meeting, you sat down with them, and now you're on your journey of actually getting them to a signed deal, a signed contract. Something that we've learned along the way is that all the money is made in the follow-up. All the money that essentially real estate agents make is really in the people that are maybes and the people that are not right nows. And those people really require time and education. And if you can do this effectively, we know that if you can, when we send you a live transfer, or when we send you an appointment, if you can get that person to an in-person meeting, you're 10 times more likely to actually get that person into a contract. But for the purpose today is you've already met with this person. What do you do with them next? The first thing that we recommend, and you've probably seen this diagram before, is we really want to focus on what we call lifetime nurture. What is lifetime nurture? Essentially, lifetime nurture is the ability to continue building the relationship over time. So this could be, for example, deal of the week. This is something that we would encourage you to continue sending. This would be market updates. That's something we would encourage you to keep doing. And this would be something we call email sprinkler. Now, we generally, for the most part, will do this for you if you let us know that you want us to continue the deal of the week, the market updates, the email sprinkler, even after you meet with the person. But generally, we take them out of this. But this is something that I would highly implore you and highly encourage you to continue doing up until the point that the person's actually ready to actually make a buying decision, because you want to stay in front of them even when they're getting IDX alerts. And that's really the next thing that I would encourage you after you meet with them is you want to make sure that they're set up on an IDX. And you also want to make sure that they have email alerts that they're getting specifically around the properties that they're actually searching for. You really want to make sure that those properties are set up. They're getting the right types of listings in their inbox, because there are other people that are going to essentially going to offer this very, very similar thing. But what's going to set you apart is after you do the meeting, you're going to then start the lifetime nurture, the deal of the week, the market updates, the email sprinkler. You're going to continue doing that on the back end, but the IDX and the email alerts, really where they sit in, is this is something that you want to do after you physically sit down with them and talk to them about the three most important things that they need to consider when purchasing or searching for a home in 2022 or 2023. Now, something that we have been beta testing with some of our clients is an actual IDX alert plus an ISA. And essentially what this is this is an ISA that is going to be essentially doing courtesy calls on your behalf to actually, it's essentially a viewed home script, and it goes very similar to this. So say, for example, if somebody has viewed a property 2 or 3 times, what we want to do is reach out with a courtesy call, and we actually have a script for this. So if you want access to the script, let us know. We have a script where essentially the ISA does a courtesy call, and they're essentially asking them if they want to go view the property. So this is an opportunity for your ISA on the back end to actually essentially give you an in-person showing on a specific property, because oftentimes they might be not feeling the need to reach out to you about a specific property, or maybe they have questions they just haven't had a chance to reach out. The ISA is essentially going to do a courtesy call on homes that have been viewed to set in-person showings. And say, for example, that property doesn't fall in their specific criteria, they can go ahead and actually make sure that the actual IDX is set up properly and they have all the right information in order for your clients to make an informed, intelligent decision. So those are really the 3 steps that towards really great post-appointment nurture. You do not want to stop deal of the week. You don't want to stop market updates, and you don't want to stop email sprinkler, because you want to continue to stay top of mind. You want to continue to stay top of mind with IDX and e-alerts. And the third thing that will really make all the difference is having a dedicated ISA here that essentially is making courtesy calls on your behalf, or you do this yourself if you don't have an ISA that is actually doing this. there's a mixture of what we call front end and back end. So the front end is actually getting them to the point where they first initially meet at you, which essentially is your first conversation appointment, where you have the ability to actually get them into an in-person meeting, have a conversation about the top most 3 important things that they need to consider when purchasing a home in 2022 or 2023, whenever you're watching this video. But really, at the end of the day, it's a courtesy call. Now, the next thing I want you to consider here are a few things. So like, you might be thinking, okay, well, I'm doing this on my own. How do I continue to stay top of mind? There's 2 elements towards staying top of mind that will allow you to give you the online credibility, and to essentially ensure that even after you meet with them in person, really at the end of the day, if you meet with them in person, you increase your actual conversion rate by 10 times, because like people that sit down with people that, belly to belly, you have the ability to build more of a relationship belly to belly than you would online or even over Zoom. But say, for example, they don't want to meet with you in person, or say, for example, you get the live transfer of the appointment, like how do you continue the ongoing relationship? And there is a follow-up script that we essentially use specifically in the shifting market. And we're continually creating scripts that will essentially allow you to reinvigorate the conversation through reactivation canvas and everything. But like, if they're already in your database, like what are some common tools that you can use, and how can you set intention to make sure that this is a priority, to make sure people in your database are actually getting nurtured? There's a few things that I want you to consider. The first thing I want you to consider is what we call tools. And the second thing I want you to consider is called intention. Now, these 2 things apart from each other, if you can have intention, but without the tools, you have no way to actually effectively get back into their ecosystem, have a conversation. But if you don't have the right intention, the tools mean nothing. So one of the tools that I want you to consider using in your follow-up, because a lot of people, when they do follow-ups, they essentially try to do it the same way every single time. So I want to talk about tools first, and I want to talk about a few different things that you should consider using when actually doing your follow-up. So the first thing is BombBomb. So BombBomb essentially is a video app that you can use to actually record a video voice note, like an actual video, and send it to the consumer, send it to the buyer or the seller. That essentially is another way, another entry point. And that's really the purpose of tools, is finding a different entry point that's different than the last, because the stats don't lie. They say you can increase your contact rate by 70% simply by following up 7 times or more. But the issue is, a lot of real estate agents don't follow up enough, and they don't follow up creatively enough in order to actually get the in-person meeting. So BombBomb is a great way to actually do a personalized follow-up, to actually get the end consumer, to get the buyer or the seller to know that you're serious about what you do and you want to serve them at a really high level. The second way is Loom. So Loom is a great tool that you can use, and you can really dedicate some time to essentially record a video, specifically, take some time out of your day to record a quick 2-minute video. Use Loom. It's a free app. You can record up to a 5-minute video that essentially is, you can essentially do a screen recording and showing them the MLS properties that they've been looking at, or show them the properties that maybe find a property that actually fits their needs, because you've already sat down with them, or maybe you already know what they want, and essentially record a Loom video, send that Loom video to them. And then, ask for the in-person meeting, ask for the appointment, ask for the showing. Using a Loom is a great way to actually follow up in a different way, to show that you've actually gone above and beyond in order to get the person's business. That's another tool that you can use. A very simple tool, if you don't want to use BombBomb, is just use video. You could upload the video to YouTube. You can record a video on your phone, send it to them directly. You could record a video, upload it to YouTube. And the other way is just a voice note. Obviously, phone calls, emails, text messages, all very, very great ways to actually follow up with people. But essentially recording a voice note, say, for example, you already have them on text, record a voice note on your phone just saying, hey, I saw you looked at 123 Main Street. Just wanted to see if you had any questions about the property. Send that. It's just a different entry point. Or if you have them on Facebook, you have them on Instagram, using a voice note shows that you actually are thinking outside the box, and it builds that, it's a way to build that deeper sense of relationship. But the reason why a lot of people don't use the tools, and tools is just one element, is because of intention. It's because it's not time blocked in your calendar. So if I were to parachute in your world and I were to take a look at your calendar, where would follow up specifically around IDX be in your calendar? So it's a very good question to ask, because like, in order to have the right intention, we can give you all the tools and all the ideas and all the concepts and all the strategies, but if it's not a priority in your calendar, it's not going to happen. Even if you spend 1 hour a day towards just focus on IDX follow-ups, you will see a massive shift in your schedule, because you'll have the ability to set more appointments. We essentially say, if you get 10 live transfers, you should be setting anywhere from 2 to 3 in-person meetings. Now, the actual buyers and sellers inside your IDX are going to be even more warmer, because they've been dripped on, they've been through the front end of the process, and they've actually been receiving properties that fit their criteria. There's a massively underutilized portal that you've essentially created in your IDX of people that are going to buy and sell real estate. It's just a matter of whether they're going to buy and sell real estate with you or somebody else, because they actually have the proper criteria set up in the back end. So time block time in your calendar. And this is, if we come back up here, is like, this is why some of the most effective teams have an ISA that's dedicated towards just doing those courtesy calls on the back end, to make sure that the search criteria is set up properly, and to make sure that they actually have the ability to set those in-person meetings around those specific properties. You know, if like, a red flag would be if somebody has viewed 123 Main Street 3 or 4 times, that person needs a reach out, and they need a phone call in order to go see that property, because that could be an opportunity for you to actually sell that property to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. But if you don't know, and you don't have somebody on the back end, or if you're not dedicating at least an hour a day towards checking these things and really creating a list of your A players, your B players, and your C player leads, you'll just have no way of knowing where you should focus your time. So that's why we say time block time in your calendar. Setting the intention is so important. And another great way to get them, rather, if it's not a specific property, maybe you follow up with a courtesy call, or maybe you just follow up in general. And rather than saying, hey, I'm just checking in, that's one of the worst things you can do, is essentially share with them a tool you created. So spending time that you can actually get in front of them. Maybe it's a calculator you created. Maybe it's another version of the 3 most important things they have to consider when purchasing a home in 2022 or 2023, or whatever, whenever you're watching this video. Maybe, for example, it's a tool that you created around looking at the differences between renting and the differences between purchasing a home and equity, but creating some sort of tool or some sort of model that you can actually walk them through in person, and actually show them specifically something that you created, like a tool. Is something different. It's a different entry point. And that's the whole purpose of what I want to talk about today, is around the tools and intention. Is like, tools are great, but it's the intention that you set for the tool, you know, finding different ways, thinking of different ways to actually follow up versus the standard checking in, because the standard checking in, not everyone's doing that. It's one way, but to actually think outside the box, to actually get the in-person meeting, if you haven't had it before, every single focus of everything, single follow-up should be booking the in-person meeting for the first time, or the second focus should be to go see a specific property. So really great way in order to do that, like I said, is creating some sort of tool that you can walk them through, where it essentially is another version of a buyer presentation, or another version of a listing presentation. It's another way to get an in-person meeting and get them into homes and get them into your car to show them homes that they're interested in. And like I mentioned up top earlier, was just the market updates. Like, the one thing that I would encourage you around follow-up is, do not stop the market updates even after they're in your ecosystem. Dedicate yourself towards market updates, towards deal of the week, and towards email sprinkler. It's so important that you continue to build a relationship over time, and it's not enough to just send them listings of homes. You need to continue to cultivate the relationship, or otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of these people in your IDX and in your portal buy with somebody else who does put in the work and to be intentional and to use tools. And that's really the focus I want to get across here, is like, follow-up requires a lot of different things, and it requires a ton of strategy. And there's different tools that you may need to create in order to build a process on the back end in order to actually effectively get people over the finish line. But the focus that I would say is you need to be emailing your list. If you hear nothing else other than this, emailing your list 3 times a week. If you do nothing other than email your list 3 times a week, you're going to continue the relationship over time. But that's really where everything comes down to is BombBomb, Loom, video with YouTube, voice notes, intention, market updates, deal of the week, email sprinkler, dedicate, some time on on a weekly basis to email your list 3 times a week. Share a tool you created, set more in-person appointments. Give yourself an opportunity. If you haven't spoken to somebody in 3 months, 4 months, and you've never sat down in person, find a different entry point with a different tool that's actually going to allow you to set that in-person meeting, to do that buyer consult in person, to walk them through, to educate them on the 3 things that they need to consider and the 3 things that they need to do in order to win the home of their dreams in the market today. And time block it in your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to happen and the attention isn't there. But coming back to the 3 things that you can do in post appointment in order to get people over the finish line is dedicate yourself towards lifetime nurture, meaning 1 deal a week every week, 1 market update every week, 1 email sprinkler, meaning tell a story about a client who's won. Share that with your database on a weekly basis. Everyone in your IDX, everyone in your database needs to get 3 emails a week. They need to make sure that your IDX is set up properly and they're getting listings that they actually want to see. And they're getting, for example, we can even add in here off markets, making sure that your database gets your off market deals. Off markets, deal of the week, market updates, email sprinkler. There are your 4 emails that you can send every single week that you can continue to build a relationship over time. And if you're really great, get an ISA dedicated specifically towards you to just dial your IDX feed, just dial your Zillow-like portal, just dial your IDX people who are viewing properties. And that courtesy call that's going to be made is going to be dedicated towards essentially either updating search criteria or setting in-person meetings. You can fill the front end of the funnel, but if your back end is broken and you're not following up with people on the back end, there's some leaky buckets that can be really put in place simply by off markets, deal of the week, market updates, email sprinkler, making sure your IDX is set up properly, making sure that you're dedicating your time towards courtesy calls. If you have any more questions around post-appointment nurture, feel free to reach out to us. We would love the opportunity to chat with you some more. Hope you get a ton of value. Hope that you take this, you run with it. You're emailing your list 3 to 4 times a week. You have that dedicated ISA, or you're dedicating time yourself towards making sure that you're using different tools in order to follow up. So hope you got a ton of value. Hope that you go. I hope that this helps you get more deals under contract. We will see you all soon.